That's what it said on my AI-generated info.
Yeah,
and AI can't lie.
Because we could...
AI can't lie.
We're all going to die.
It's part of the rules.
We're all going to die.
iRobot was on this weekend, and I watched a little bit of it. Number one rule is it can't lie.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List. And I don't think it's any of our audience, but if you're out there spoiling Deadpool and Wolverine,
Stop it.
may bad karma find you.
What that Michael Jordan mean? Stop it.
Just stop.
Get some help.
Yeah.
Get some help.
I don't know if you noticed this, but it feels like there's been these big campaigns of like don't spoil these big movies, and it feels like everyone kind of abided by that during the weekend. I don't know what you noticed, but it felt like when Monday hit, all of a sudden I was just seeing a whole bunch of stuff that like if I hadn't seen the movie, I would have been pissed that I saw.
I think a lot of it is a lot of the diehard fans that like didn't want to get spoiled or really were nervous about it went out and watched it because it was a busy movie. It was made a ton of money. A lot of people went and saw it, so they think, oh, everybody else has already seen it, so I can start posting this now, so I can be new to the funny. That's what I think.
I think some of them probably, yeah, but I think a lot of a majority of them were just jerks. So if you're out there, just know, plague on your house.
Oh,
I'm going Shakespeare on them right there. But, yeah, you kind of alluded to it. It was a very good weekend for Marvel. Probably the best we have seen for them in quite some time here.
couple of years, probably.
Yeah, we're going to talk not too much about Deadpool Wolverine, but we are going to talk about other things that happened this past weekend. Comic-Con 2024 occurred last weekend, and because we record these beforehand and, it started Thursday, which is when we post these, we weren't able to talk about it. So we're going to do a little bit of a recap here, talk about some of the big announcements, give some of our takes on it and everything like that. And, just kind of talk Comic-Con 2024. Before we really get into it, quick little history lesson here.
I like history.
Got a little challenge for you because I was doing a little bit of digging here for radio station stuff when I was talking about it. I was like, oh, what's like some of the early origins of Comic-Con? Yeah. Started back in 1970. That was when the very first one took place. Okay. For a little bit of context, I don't know the amount of people that showed up this year, but in 2023, about 150,000 people attended. I want to see you guess. I'm going to give you 5 guesses of how many people attended the very first Comic-Con.
You just said 150,000
in 2023.
Oh, okay.
In 2023. So gotcha. I'm giving more context here.
Yep.
That I don't know the numbers of this year, but in 2023, that was the number. So how many showed up in 1970? I'm going to give you 5 guesses just for the fun of it here.
And then you're going to tell me higher or lower?
Yeah. You'll guess, and I'll tell you higher or lower. Yep.
200.
Higher.
1,000.
Lower.
650.
Lower.
400.
Lower.
300.
Bingo! He got it on the 5th one.
Woo, let's go!
I thought you were gonna bet a lot higher early on. So when you opened with 200, I was like, oh crap, he's gonna get this, isn't he? But yeah, only about 300 people showed up at the very first one in 1970, and then you look at it now. Although the attendance has grown, pretty much the same concept. Back in the day, 1970, that was a huge rise for sci-fi. Yep. Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, and all that. So it literally was a bunch of people out in California who were like, hey, let's just talk about comics and sci-fi and all that sort of stuff. So, that's what it still kind of is today. We're going to talk about some of the big announcements here. Obviously, there was a lot going on, but here are some of the more important ones. The Boys getting another spinoff.
The Boys.
Obviously, we've got Gen V. I believe Season 2's been confirmed, as well as we have Season 5 of The Boys to look forward to. Now we have Vought Rising.
And I think Season 5 is the last season of The Boys.
That is what they've said. That is confirmed going to be the last one of The Boys. But again, you do have a lot of history here to build off of, like Vought Rising. This one's going to be set in the 1950s to actually show sort of the origin of the Vought Corporation and some of their early heroes. Jensen Ackles and Aya Cash will be returning as their character Soldier Boy, And, well, she was known as Stormfront in the recent...
She had a different name.
She had a little bit of a different persona in the 1950s. That probably interests me more than anything else.
Yes.
Is to see that sort of early stage without really spoiling it, I guess. I don't know what we want to say, but what are some of our other thoughts on this one?
No, I really like The Boys. I haven't seen the newest season yet, and I know they introduced some of the characters from Gen V, which I think it's all out now, so I could watch it. Sorry, I was looking for some crap. What do they call it? What do they call the serum?
What?
The serum.
Oh, isn't it just...
It's not Gen V.
No, I'm losing it too.
Yeah. I don't remember. Something V. Did they just call it V?
Compound V.
Compound V. Sorry, I was looking for some Compound V.
It took us the longest time to get to that joke.
Yeah. But no, I think it'll be good. It'll be. I like kind of movies, TV shows set in that time, anyways. So it'll be interesting to see. And we know what those two characters are about, and it'll be interesting to see their kind of rise to power that way.
We know what those characters are about, but I don't think like the Jensen Ackles character knows what we're just going to call her Stormfront for the time being.
Oh, yeah.
What she was about. I think that is going to be one of the more interesting aspects of it, of like her concealing that darker side of herself. But I'm also very much looking forward to seeing some of the early days of Soldier Boy, because I feel like there was a really great moment in season 3. I'm with you. I haven't seen season 4 yet. But when they do kind of talk about Soldier Boy, and he's like, you know, he had this military-like father who kept pushing him, and he's like, just wanted him to be the best. And then he finally became the best, and the dad was like, no, you cheated. I want to see more of that, that dynamic. And I think that is going to be a good addition to this franchise as well. But yeah, that was one of the big announcements. Also coming to Amazon Prime, like the other Boys shows as well. Another one, very minor, but there was a new trailer for Transformers 1 coming out later this year. I guess personally, I'm going to save more of my thoughts on this when we actually preview this movie later on this year. But for those of you who don't know, this is essentially an animated movie that's going to show early origins of the Transformers characters we've kind of grown to know and love. Interesting cast. Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime.
Sounds different, too.
Well,
like it doesn't sound like Chris Hemsworth.
Well, I'll give you, that as well. But also the fact that Optimus Prime just sounds different because you have Peter Cullen, the guy who's done it pretty much since the beginning.
Yeah.
Has only been the voice of this character for however long. I kind of feel bad for Chris Hemsworth. That's a tough thing to kind of follow up there. But this is another one I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on. Rings of Power Season 2 trailer was released. Correct me if I'm wrong, you were not a big fan of the first season.
No.
And it seems like a lot of people shared that sentiment.
Yep.
Did you get a chance to check out this trailer, and did it reinvigorate your interest at all?
I saw the trailer. Very long trailer too, by the way.
Really?
It's like 4 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah, it's long.
That's long for a trailer. That's especially long for a Comic-Con trailer.
Yeah. And it's hard to say if it reinvigorated it. It made me interested. I might actually try to watch it. But I'm just...
You just really did not like that season 1 that much, did you?
No. And a lot of the back end stuff you had Tolkien people there, historians, that are like, no, this is wrong. And they're like, nope, you're fired. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that either, I guess. So I guess by definition, in the most bare minimalist of ways, yes, it did reinvigorate you, but it's almost more of a pity reinvigorate.
Yeah. And it's like, is it going to be enough to make me sit down and watch it? I don't know. I'll probably wait to see what, because if people come out and say that they really enjoyed it, and then I'll probably give it a chance.
You gotta make your own opinions, man. Can't be listening to other people.
It's true.
Which is ironic because we tell people to listen to us and our thoughts, but you don't look too much into my hypocrisy, all right?
Yeah.
Also, let's talk a little bit about Star Trek. Star Wars didn't really make an appearance here today, or this past weekend, I should say, but Star Trek did. Star Trek Section 31. This is a movie that I believe is going straight to Paramount Plus, which is interesting because I realize they've been putting a lot of their content on there, but you have a pretty big cast here. Mm-hmm. It looks like a pretty big budget thing. I don't get why you wouldn't put this one to theaters.
See, that's maybe another indicator that this movie's not that good. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but especially for all the Trekkies out there.
I'm trying to think. I think the last theatrical Star Trek thing was Star Trek Beyond, which came out I want to say 8 years ago.
Really? That's
I think that was the last theatrical thing, and I think it was 2016. Yeah. So yeah, about 8 years ago.
Yeah, I believe that.
So I mean, you can complain about Star Wars all you want. We at least get theatrical runs.
True.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I love Michelle Yeoh. I love her in just about everything she's in. So will this convert me to be a Trekkie? Probably not. Will I maybe watch this movie just for her? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I will. Yeah. But let's move into some DC Comics news. The Penguin. That was kind of the big thing here.
Yeah.
A little bit more information on his spinoff show, which is coming out later this year, but also confirmation he will make an appearance in the Batman Part 2. Now, we don't know what the main villain is in that movie yet. We don't know a lot of details, but we know Penguin will be returning.
Because he was in the last one.
Yes.
So I think it'll be cool. I'm looking forward to it. Colin Farrell looks awesome. Does not look like him. And I'm hoping they do some sort of ARG like what they did with the last Batman as it gets closer and promotional stuff comes out.
Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. I mean, you mentioned it. He had a great performance. The look of him is we use that word unrecognizable, but I mean, he was unrecognizable.
Yeah.
At this point. So it does kind of seem like they're kind of using that as their way of saying he's kind of going to be our main crime boss bad guy in this Batman universe. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But, that's enough of the appetizers here.
Yep.
Let's get to the main course.
To the meat.
Marvel came out swinging this weekend with their announcements. Captain America Brave New World, let's talk a little bit about that. There were some interesting details announced there. They finally revealed Giancarlo Esposito's role. We were way off.
Yeah.
We were kind of shooting big 3-pointers there. And they're like, well, I mean, he's just kind of this guy, part of another generic terrorist group or whatever, which is fine, I guess. But for those of you who missed it or didn't hear, apparently he will be playing the character known as Sidewinder. I had to do a little bit of digging because this one's not as known in the comics.
As big.
Yeah, not as big of a character. He is the leader of what's known as the Serpent Society. In the comics, he has a cloak that helps him teleport.
Oh, hopefully he has that. That's cool.
That would be cool.
That's like twice as strong as Harry Potter's cloak. He just gets invisible.
I mean, yeah, I guess if I had to choose between cloaks, I'd choose the teleporty one than the invisible one.
Would you rather do that one?
Yeah, I'd rather teleport. You'd save on gas. You don't have to commute with your vehicle anymore.
True.
So
being invisible would be pretty cool.
You'd want the invisible one?
That's actually, we're going to have to talk about this another time. That's very...
It's kind of that classic, if you had to get one superpower, what would you do? And the people who pick invisibility are like, well, you're just a creep then. But knowing you're not a creep, so I don't think you would use it.
I could do so many cool things.
Yeah.
I could play jokes on people.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
You'd be a prankster with that.
Imagine we're in here, and all of a sudden your laptop just gets unplugged. And then you turn around, and that was weird. Then all of a sudden, Shuri ends up on the other side of the popcorn machine. That would be so funny. I'd be a mischievous person.
You'd be mischievous Meyerberg. Giving you more nicknames there.
Yep.
So that was part of it. The other thing is we got to hear a little bit more from Harrison Ford about his character and what he's doing. Red Hulk. We already knew this going in. He was going to finally be Red Hulk. This was always a thing for General Ross. But it seems like it's confirmed he's going to essentially make the first Hulk out transformation during a presidential speech.
Oh.
So
this is from the Edward Norton Hulk, correct?
So so they had to recast General Ross because the previous actor unfortunately passed away.
Okay.
So that's where Harrison Ford is. He's doing the same General Ross, yes, from the Incredible Hulk, from Captain America: Civil War, but always in the comics, General Ross turns into Red Hulk, which
General Ross was in Civil War.
Yes.
Oh, didn't know that.
He's the suit and tie guy who tells them the Sokovia Accords is going to be a thing.
Okay. Oh, yep.
Yeah, mustache guy.
Yep.
He was also in Infinity War too, for a brief moment, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to be finally showing up as Red Hulk. Feels like it's something that's been kind of teased for the longest time here, but finally going to happen here. Basically, the only difference between Hulk and Red Hulk is one is red and also has a little bit of fiery power.
Oh, like Mario with the fireballs?
Not the way I would have described it, but that I would consider that to be accurate. Not where my head was going. But I think you nailed it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. We'll call it that. Anyways, the grand finale, the big announcement here. You probably knew we were going to lead up to this here eventually. RDJ back in the MCU. But this time, the D stands for Dr. Doom. This was not only probably the biggest announcement of the whole weekend. This might be one of the biggest reveals in the last decade of Comic-Con, I feel like. It's been a while since I feel like we've had a big hype moment this.
And the video is pretty awesome of him.
That's what I was going to say. So, to be completely honest, just to give our kind of thoughts on this, I'm not 100% sold I like this idea.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, rewatching that video of how they revealed it, goosebumps.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They know how to put on a show.
Yes.
Especially in Hall H. I've kind of implied I'm not so much for it. What's your thoughts? What do you think?
Same. I because everybody that watches it is gonna know, oh, that's RDJ. That's RDJ. That's Iron Man. That's Iron Man. Is it gonna have some sort of cross multiverse? Doomsday is Iron Man in another universe kind of a thing? Or is it 100% standalone? This is something totally different. Because obviously with Doomsday, that leads into the Fantastic Four and it leads into that stuff. So I don't know.
I feel like the only way they can go this route is with option A, where it is sort of essentially an Iron Man variant that's called Dr. Doom. And my hope is they're going to use that to sort of introduce their real Dr. Doom. However, I think I did read it is confirmed he's not only going to show up in Avengers 5, but also Avengers 6. So, with a pretty big paycheck. So they're going to keep him around.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not that I think he'll be bad in this.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. He's proven this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard to land a perfect finale like they did with Iron Man. You could argue, however, they did the same thing with Wolverine, and they showed this weekend you could still bring him back.
But that was an R-rated, fun BA movie. Whereas if it's, no offense, we're going back into the more washed down corporate Marvel, not the Ryan Reynolds, let's have fun and push every boundary and literally make fun of Disney and everybody around you. They're separate. They're just different. So
I think they can maybe get away with this if they make it so Dr. Doom doesn't quip as much. I think that'd be an interesting challenge.
And if he keeps his helmet on, if he's not, if you don't see his face, if he's just actually playing a character all suited up the whole time, that's going to be very different too. Yeah. So, I don't know.
That kind of transitions into some other parts of the announcement here. They've essentially confirmed Avengers 5 will be renamed Avengers Doomsday, and Avengers 6 will keep its title Avengers Secret Wars. This pretty much confirms that Marvel is now moving away from the King the Conqueror plans.
Yep.
Which I'm actually not too surprised by this, because I think we saw in another interview where they were when they first saw Jonathan Majors in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium or whatever, it didn't seem like they had a huge future plan for him. And then they saw the performance and they were like, okay, let's build it around this. So I almost feel like that was plan B. I'm curious if Doctor Doom was the initial plan A. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, we can do it with Kang. We can do essentially the same thing we were doing with Kang. And then everything that happened. And then they're like, oh, let's just go back to plan A.
That's a good way to look at it.
I'm not too surprised by this.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. But one last thing here with that, Russo brothers also returning to direct these two.
Perfect. Hopefully there's a stair car in the future because they snuck the Blue Thostero company stair car into Civil War. Tobias has been in the Collectors. He was in one of the two.
They've done pretty good with their Easter eggs.
They've done some pretty good ones. Yeah. So I'm hoping that they can make some more because it's just great.
But yeah, that was a lot of the major announcements here. Some other small ones.
Do you think 4 or 5 and 6 are going to be linked like Infinity War and Endgame?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. I think it will be very similar to what they did there. It is interesting how I feel like a lot of these movies haven't been setting up any of that. So It does feel like I don't even remember what the next. I mean, I guess you could argue Deadpool and Wolverine did, but
yeah, and maybe it will be just the first one is.
You're tired today, aren't you, bud?
I'm exhausted.
Baby, keeping you up?
No.
Oh, you can't. Oh, I would have just used that as the excuse.
I should. Yes. Dang kids.
But yeah, like I said, that is a lot of the major announcements here. Some smaller ones. Creature Commandos, one of the new projects for the DCU of James Gunn, an animated movie, or I believe animated miniseries, I should say, but will connect to the new DCU that is coming up here. Saw that trailer. I thought it was fine. Fantastic Four, the official title, Fantastic Four, the First Steps, I believe is what it was.
Oh,
something like that. I think we've talked about that before. Going to be set in the 60s, so that'll be interesting as well. Oh my God, that's a lot of enemies. There you go. What? No, he totally hit that.
Did it.
You done.
Did it.
You done.
You're a computer gamer, aren't you?
I'm not a gamer at all.
You have a PS3.
Yeah, that I use for racing games. Oh no, he's got a hostage.
It's alright, I'll save you. Hitting the button. Dodge. I gotta say it out loud.
Oh my God, that's a tank! Yeah, I guess my overall thoughts of this Comic-Con, it felt like the Comic-Con of old. Yeah. It felt like it was a huge convention that had great announcements, and not only that, had great showmanship in those announcements. And I feel like we haven't seen that in the past few years. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, part of that was due to COVID, yeah. And the next few years after that, though, was kind of like, I felt like some of the studios, both like DC Comics and Disney alike, kind of did their own separate things, or they did their own conventions of like, oh, we're just going to do our own announcements. And then Comic-Con got the table scraps. Yeah. This was the first year, I feel like, in forever that it's been like huge hype, huge fun. A lot of news came out of it. This is exactly what the convention needed to put it back on the map.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% because you're right. The years ago, or just a few years ago, Robert Downey Jr. as Doomsday, that would have been a Disney press release, not a Comic-Con thing. A lot releasing some of those trailers or first looks at some of those trailers, they wouldn't have done. It would just be Disney released this, or 20th Century Fox. RIP.
Out of everything we talked about, what do you think you're the most excited for?
To be honest, I'm probably most excited to see how Marvel does with, I don't want to say Captain America, but I am really excited for that. I think that to me, in my mind, I think that could be the best out of the stuff that we talked about. But I am interested to see how they do. I'm more interested to see how they do the RDJ, just how they play that out. But I think I'm going to enjoy Captain America, but we'll see.
Yeah. I think that's going to be kind of the sleeper hit here as well. But with that, let's move on to the weekly preview. Talk about all the movies coming out here this weekend, essentially kicking off August.
Yep.
July had a really, really good box office month here. August is usually when things tend to slow down, but I think we got a few hits here that I think should do pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Hope so.
Yeah, we always hope so. But even though I just set us up for August, we're actually going to talk about something that comes out Wednesday, July 31st.
Oh!
My bad. Didn't think that one through, I guess. So yeah, this will be out by the time you guys can see this video. Mountain Queen, The Summits of Hakpa Sherpa. This is coming straight to Netflix. This is a documentary that talks about a single mother who, for lack of a better term, I would call it a midlife crisis, but I don't know if it's exactly the same thing, but similar to it. Most people buy a new car, maybe they go to the gym more, etc., stuff like that. She decides to climb Mount Everest, not once, not twice, but 9 times.
It's crazy.
This documentary will show her in her 10th attempt.
And I think her kids go with her on this last one.
At the very least to like base
Or
camp
base
or something
camp or
like
something,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, they're along with her. What do you think your midlife crisis would force you to do?
Well, I can tell you right now, actually. Are you ready?
I don't think you're in your midlife crisis yet.
I bought a moped.
That was not a midlife crisis. That
You're
was
right.
not.
You're right. I'm
That was-
hoping it's something wild. Actually, I do know what it is, but I can't tell it on air right now because I don't want somebody else to do it before I do it.
Oh,
Yep. It's actually, I've been
Now I'm
thinking about
intrigued.
this. I've been thinking about this for probably a year and a half. Like logistics of it.
oh.
Yeah, I won't be able to do it probably for a few years till my kids get older, but it's
You have to tell me that one off camera because now
it's
I'm
cool.
curious. It's almost infuriating, however, how easily she kind of feels like this is the main character in this. I should say, she kind of gives off this vibe of like, oh yeah, climb Mount Everest, yeah, whatever, big boy. It's a trip to the grocery store for her. Yeah,
No big deal.
no big deal, no big deal. And she's like, oh, people call me humble. I'm not humble. I'm like, yeah, you're not humble.
Yeah.
You're just talking about climbing the tallest peak in the world like it's easy.
Yeah. And yeah, it's crazy. It's wild, but it's what people can do.
Yeah.
Humans are interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on then to August, first weekend here of this month of the final summer movie month, I should say here specifically. August 2nd, this coming Friday, Harold and the Purple Crayon, coming straight to theaters. This movie stars Zachary Levi as the character of Harold in a kid's book who has access to a crayon that can help him create anything he wants, which is pretty cool power. It's safe to say Zachary Levi has essentially been typecast as the adult who acts like a child ever since those Shazam movies.
Yep.
Which, I mean, he's good at, I would say. That's at least a plus. But, I mean, he did do that football movie where he played Kurt Warner.
Awesome movie, by the way.
Yeah. So he does.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. What?
I said it was pretty good.
Oh, I thought, okay, never mind. Yeah. Turns out this movie is based on a real-life child's book. It was of the same name that came out back in 1955. However, this concept reminds me of a show I watched as a kid called Chalk Zone. Did you ever see that show?
I don't think so.
This was a Nickelodeon show. It was very similar, where basically this kid had access to this magic chalk, and he would like create a portal to the Chalk Zone,
Yeah.
where a bunch of chalk-like characters come to life and everything like that, and everything he drew would come to life too.
Yeah.
So at first, when I first saw this trailer, I was like, these guys are ripping off Chalk Zone and Jacques and stuff like that. And then I looked into it, I was like, oh no, the book this is based off came back in the 50s.
Yeah.
So Chalk Zone ripped them off.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of oh shoot, it was just in my head. Oh, never mind. What's that music video where they like go into the weird, almost like chalk, but it's It's like an animation.
Oh.
You know, they're like dancing, and it's
Isn't that Take On Me?
is that what
song?
it is? Yeah, it makes me think of that.
Oh yeah, Take On Me by Aha.
Aha,
That's the actual band name.
aha.
But the big ticket item, I would argue here this weekend, Trap, coming also straight to theaters. This is the latest from M. Night Shyamalan. We talked about him earlier, but he just produced that movie.
Yeah.
Here, he did his usual thing where he wrote, produced. He likes to have his hand in all the pies.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's nice because then if there's ever problems or you don't like the movie, you can just blame one person. You don't have to say, oh, was that a writing thing or a directing thing? Or did the producers not like this? It's like, nope, he did it. Talk to him.
I know. You bring up a good point. It is sort of a double-edged sword because if it's good, then you get all the praise.
You get all the
praise.
praise.
If it's bad, you get all the hate then.
Yeah. And then it's as a director, you can't say, well, I didn't get much to work with the writing. The writing was awful. Can't say that because you were the person that wrote it.
If this movie is bad, he can't be like, oh, I didn't get enough funding. Like, bro, you provided the funding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you point that finger in the mirror next time?
But I do have to give him props because there are some people that really like his work, some people that don't. But to do all of that and to be, I would say, successful in Hollywood, making actual theater-run films for as long as you've been doing, that's very impressive. Whether or not,
not easy.
Yeah, it's you have some people that direct one bad movie, they're done. Mm-hmm. They just don't get another shot, and it's impressive.
I will give him this. He is kind of on this upswing of this comeback he's on right now. And when you look at how low that low was, that run he had for a little bit, it is impressive that he is back where he is right now. But let's talk a little bit about this movie in particular here. Here, a dad played by Josh Hartnett is attending a big pop concert with his daughter, only to find out that law enforcement have set up essentially a sting operation for a serial killer they have been hunting. So how does he get out of this? I do find this concept very interesting. You don't think of a Taylor Swift-esque concert, and that's just not me saying it like that. They took inspiration from like the big Eras tour and everything as far as like the setting for this. But this is going to be an interesting one. I'm really, really intrigued for this one for sure.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this was supposed to come out a while ago, but with all the writing strikes and some of those other strikes that happened and kind of pushed this one back. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be good.
Also coming out here this weekend, Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie, coming straight to Netflix. After the whole town of Bikini Bottom is wiped from the bottom of the ocean, SpongeBob and Sandy must find their way to the surface to save their town and their friends.
Is it from a nuclear bomb?
No.
Because Bikini Bottom.
Okay, you're bringing up that fan theory right now, aren't you?
Well, no, Bikini Bomb was like a nickname for where they drop bombs.
Yeah, but like they also then use that as like the concept of like that's why these fish in this look weird.
Oh, and weird can talk.
And not just the fact that it's a kid's cartoon. Why are you thinking about this too much? No, it was not a nuclear bomb that took him out here. No, it was just like some sort of marine biologist collector. It feels like this took way too long to get Sandy essentially her own spinoff.
Yeah.
Like there have been episodes that have focused on her, but she is a very interesting character if you ask me. And it feels
she's
like
from Texas.
Yeah, she's this
Texas squirrel.
You know, you hear the whole metaphor fish out of water. What about a squirrel in water?
Yeah. In a spacesuit.
Yeah.
Underwater.
Well, I think it's more accurately a scuba suit.
Are they different?
Yes.
Are they different?
Yeah. I think one has to deal with a lot of pressure. One has to deal with the vacuum of space. I feel like those would be different concepts.
6.5 hours later.
Ken.
See, does that mean a spacesuit's better because a spacesuit would protect you up and below, where a wetsuit would only protect you below?
I think the wetsuit would be better because that one's waterproof.
So you're saying
I don't think the spacesuit is waterproof because when would you have to deal with rain in space?
It has to be airtight.
Yeah, but it's not waterproof.
3:28 a.m.
That's not how that works.
Google it.
That's not how that works.
Our spacesuit's waterproof.
2 hours later.
Okay, the outer layer of a spacesuit is made of a waterproof fabric.
And not just the fact that it's a kid's cartoon. Why are you thinking about this too much?
But that still doesn't mean Sandy is not in a spacesuit. She's in a scuba suit.
You think so?
But fine, I'll concede to you, spacesuits are probably more effective and better than a scuba suit.
Right.
But I guarantee you Sandy's in a scuba suit.
All right.
What are we talking about? We're talking about a kids movie, right? We're talking about a kids movie, right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sandy. She's finally getting her own spinoff. Yeah. Cool character. Looking at my notes here. Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about the 3D animation style with this one. Although I just feel like maybe it's just because I'm so used to the 2D animation style of this world and this environment. I'm not sure how much I feel about the 3D aspects of it. Oh my God, what is he doing?
Can you just read it aloud, please? What's this say?
I'm not looking at that answer, by the way, because that's AI driven. I'm looking
Oh,
at
okay.
I'm gonna go into the fandom. They know what they're talking about.
What's the fandom say?
I'm looking. Just give
Okay.
me a second. I don't read as quick as I used to.
That's all right. I can't read anyway, so AI whispers it to me, whispers me sweet nothings, and I go.
I'm still saying that's an aquatic suit, scuba suit. I'm not.
We'll figure it out.
You're
a later date.
no. Should we just move on?
Let's keep rolling.
I don't know how long we've been spending on the Sandy talk, but we've talked very little about the movie itself.
True.
Look, you're either a SpongeBob fan or you're not. It's coming to Netflix. You know what you're getting into at this point. Last but certainly not least, coming out here to Max, Elizabeth Taylor, The Lost Tapes. Elizabeth Taylor, one of Hollywood's earliest actors with a very distinguished career. This documentary focuses on the hours and hours of recordings she did essentially in secret and sort of pulls back the curtain on her early career and personal life.
Do they know where they found them at?
It didn't say it in the trailer.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to look into that, but I was kind of curious about that myself, where they hid them or whatever, or what the purposes of them were the first, because it wasn't like just her sitting in a room. She's getting interviewed.
She was like interviewed.
She was getting interviewed.
And it's like, was this like a part? Did she just decide to do this on her own? Or was this like a partnership with some news company that said, hey, we want to just interview you once a month for, 10 years?
Yeah. That'd be an interesting concept to do too.
We should do that.
Part of this trailer really interested me, where she said, like, she's talking about her looks, how she focused on her beauty and everything, and how she kind of said, like, Hollywood didn't like her because of how focused she was on her looks. Mm-hmm. It wasn't so much that they were like, oh, she's too pretty. That's never been a problem in Hollywood. But it was more of she was so focused and spending so much for time and money on that I guess Hollywood wasn't willing to play ball with her as much. Yeah. Which I find very interesting. Kind of curious what Hollywood would look like if they continued that mindset.
True.
But unfortunately, looks is everything. But she was kind of ahead of her time, I feel like. Because
and especially the way she's talking in it, she seems very aware and like, I don't want to say self-conscious, but like she knows what's going on and why people are doing these things. And it's a very almost like I don't know. Like
she knows she's sort of going against the grain on some things. Mm-hmm. And she knows she's going to get flack for some of these things. Which is it's different.
But she also knows she's using some of her gifts to her advantage to get maybe more than what she is looking for.
Yeah, I'm still calling that a scuba suit. Everyone's ganging up at me on this Sandy stuff, whatever.
Sandy cheeks.
Let us know in the comments. What do you think it is? Do you think it's a spacesuit or a scuba suit? No, Carter, you're cut off. You're cut off.
An atmospheric diving suit is a scuba suit.
Yeah, but then I also Googled somewhere like that can mean the same thing for like a spacesuit
Correct.
and like an atmospheric suit.
And I'm pretty sure she was an astronaut, so
I don't think she was.
that's what it said on my AI generated info.
Yeah,
and AI can't lie.
Because we could.
AI can't lie.
We're all gonna die.
It's part of the rules.
We're all gonna die.
iRobot was on this weekend, and I watched a little bit of it. Number one rule is it can't lie.
Let's get to number one recommendation.
You going AI can't lie is going to be the cold open to this episode. I'm calling that right now. Yeah, I agree with Carter. Let's just wrap things
Yeah,
up
let's
here
get
with
outta
some
here.
number one recommends. I'm actually going to let you go first because I'm willing to bet you're going to talk about a movie here that I agree with. Oh, wait. No?
Nope.
Oh, well, then I'll go first then.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, great choice.
Is that not what you were going to recommend?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was
Well,
gonna
then
recommend
we'll
something
hear what we'll hear what you have to say here in a little bit. I joked about this earlier this week. I really can't pick which one of these is my favorite. Each of them have their own advantages. Each of them have their own strengths. But this one is really, really, really good.
It is.
It's not perfect in my opinion, which I feel like is kind of against the grain here. But we don't have time to get into all that. Was that your phone?
Could have been.
You want to check it and see if it was? Because I felt the vibrate through the table.
Yeah.
Is that one of your ringtones?
Oh, somebody's at my door.
This is a weird episode.
Oh. Darn kids.
Okay, yeah, just Deadpool and Wolverine. Just recommending that.
I
All right.
piggyback off of you. It was awesome.
Yep.
So good. And especially it like you watched it 2 times, so you get even more jokes that you probably missed the first time. And you get a lot of jokes. So many jokes. Really enjoyed it.
All right, so in that case, what are you recommending here this week, bub?
I'm recommending actually kind of a weird one, maybe a little controversial. I don't know. I'm recommending the 2024 Paris Olympics because more specifically, I'm going to bring up the rugby. So they added rugby recently back into the Olympics a handful of years ago. And this was, hence I'm wearing my New Zealand shirt, but the women's rugby team, they won bronze. And I watched those games, and they were fantastic. But this is the first time USA Rugby has won a medal in 100 years. So props to the women's United States rugby team. They did great. And I'm hoping that more people are going to get on board and want to play rugby.
So what's really funny was I assumed you were going to do Deadpool and Wolverine, and then I was going to actually recommend the Paris Olympics specifically on Peacock because they do a really cool thing where like they give you an option during certain times like of a multi-view where there are multiple sports going on and everything. So I think if you are out there and you want to get into the Olympics a little bit more, but you just don't know where to start, if you have Peacock or you have access to that, check out their multi-view. You have about 4 sports going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of click on one and be like, oh, I want to see the fencing thing going on right now because I think fencing is really
Fencing's pretty sweet.
cool. Jump on over to a track and field event, something like that. So it's interesting. We're both going to essentially recommend the same things here because that was going to be my thing, assuming, excuse me, you were going to do Deadpool and Wolverine. But, yeah.
Well, we just have combined picks this week, I guess.
Yeah, we're double piggybacking. That's not.
I'll do that any day with you,
That doesn't
Nick.
sound right.
I'll do that any day.
All right, this has been a weird one here. Let's just wrap things up. That is going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Once again, check out our social media channels where we post some of our other reviews, as well as check out the channel in general for other videos and maybe some other future videos that we have lined up.
Sounds like a plan.
For myself and Ryan Myberg and our engineer Carter up in the booth, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.